Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off after once again going toe-to-toe with the Chosen Assassin, only this time we let her win, so to speak. We allowed her to extract some knowledge from one of our latest hires, Long Volley Disglario, and with that the assassin has now maxed out her knowledge bar, and that means a retaliation strike on the Avenger is imminent. And we will also receive confirmation of that as we now head into the world map, where after just a few moments of scanning we are presented with another end-of-the-month report.
Got an urgent communication coming in for you now, Commander.
You have made considerable progress against the aliens over the past month, Commander. I hope that your ongoing efforts will only lead to further success.
And indeed, our work in the last month once again quite successful. However, here we now have it confirmed the assassin has officially reached the rank of Raider, and so we have to expect an Avenger Defense mission at some point in this upcoming month. That is, however, exactly what I wanted to show you, so let's keep going with the dark events. Sealed armor and collateral damage, not really all too threatening, I believe. Meanwhile, closing down the black market for 6 weeks, that could be problematic, as we are currently very much relying on it to purchase Illyrium and alloys.
If there are orders you would have us follow, Commander, tell us what must be done.
The Bomb Squad Resistance Order then, our latest acquisition, but not one we'll activate. Instead, let's put Vulture back into the rotation, we have no need for further rookies, and Tithe here also makes for a good replacement for Suit Up, as we only have a single armor left in the Proving Ground that we have not yet built, and I think at this point we can afford to wait for that one for a few more days.
I understand, Commander.
And so here we are, in a new month, almost 1,500 supplies richer, and surprisingly with the Avatar project seemingly picking up steam again.
Commander, the aliens continue to make progress on the Avatar project. If we're going to slow them down, we'll need to move fast.
So, one more point of progress added, nothing too crazy yet, although it looks like we are not quite done.
Commander, if we want to set back the aliens' work on the Avatar project, we should hit one of their facilities as soon as possible.
Alright, and just like that, the project progress bar has once again been filled to the halfway point. We meanwhile recover a few more supplies, and in light of no suitable rumor being available at the moment, let's fly over to the black market.
Avenger plotting new course.
After all, it might be our last chance to do so for quite some time. However, considering the other two dark events, I am very optimistic that we will be able to focus exclusively on this one. Nonetheless, better to be safe than sorry. And so, as is the case every month, we will once again purchase all available alloys and Illyrium crystals. Unfortunately, there are only 30 crystals available here and the price of 50 intel is quite steep. Hopefully, before the end of the series we encounter 1 or 2 more supply raid missions. Otherwise, a few of the items that we still need to build might get heavily delayed. Now, the rest of the items on offer here is nothing that interests us at the moment, and like I said, the same is true for that one rumor we currently have available, so I think let's just fly over to the Reaper HQ to scan for intel a bit. After all, we have to pass the time somehow, and this strikes me as the best course of action.
One of the Chosen is moving to attack the ship, Commander. They'll do whatever it takes to get you back.
I will not waste another opportunity to strike at your heart. You have taken a great many things from the Elders, and I will be the one to return them all.
Okay, slightly earlier than I had expected, it looks like the Avenger Assault mission is upon us. 31 enemies, including the assassin herself, are now attacking. Our job is now to fend them all off and to protect our base in the process. Let's see how this goes.
Commander, we can deploy some of our wounded troops back into combat if you feel it's necessary. This operation is critical to our efforts. We may not have much of a choice if we want to proceed.
Well, the good news is that we will not have to rely on injured soldiers to fill our ranks for this one. The bad news is that our squad size is limited to only 5 people, albeit for 2 squads. So in total we can bring 10 soldiers into this mission, and these here will be the first 5. Van Dyke, Tsunami, Reaper Sleeper, Typhoon and Mox. In other words, the best of the best, just to make sure we don't mess this up. I am aware that we are accepting some risks by forcing this mission, but I hope that it will go somewhat smoothly. Now, one thing we will do before moving on to squad number 2, with some of our precious Illyrium crystals, we will now purchase the powered Shadowkeeper. I would also really like to grab the Plasma Lance, but unfortunately we are lacking the materials for that. So let's go with the Shadowkeeper first, unlocking the Deadly Arsenal achievement, because as you can see we are bringing 2 sharpshooters, Sapphire West, part of the 2nd squad, alongside Starfall, Dragonova, QT and Logan. And Alyssa will also be the one to equip that Shadowkeeper pistol now. In exchange she also gets to use the Dark Lance, while Zanami, who's got the Dark Claw, has to rely on a regular sniper rifle, and again, due to a lack of materials, only the Tier 2 version. Apart from that, our loadout here is fairly standard issue. We have a few superior repeaters equipped, particularly on our Reapers, as their banish ability could become an important tool during this mission.
Attention all hands. This is not a drill. The Chosen are attempting a ground assault on us with heavy weaponry. Prepare to defend the ship. We have to take out that gun. The enemy turrets are hammering the ship. We have to take them out before they breach our hull.
Commander, that Chosen brought some sort of massive artillery cannon with it. There's no way we can take off while that thing is operational. They're powering the cannon with a supplementary generator on board that truck. It will probably take them some time to build the charge. So if we can take that thing out, the cannon itself will be useless.
Alright then, here we go. Just as a quick refresher, the big bad cannon, that is our main objective. If we leave that activated for too long, the Avenger will inevitably be destroyed. The smaller mobile turrets, meanwhile, not really much of a threat. You will soon see that they won't really be able to make a dent in the 400 points we have in the top right corner. Not to mention that taking them out will more or less come naturally as we progress through the mission. One more thing worth mentioning then, and this is why I wanted to show you this mission again, we now have turrets, 4 of them to be precise, 2 on either side of the Avenger's ramp, and that's because we have built and staffed a defense matrix. Now these turrets can't do much more but shoot and overwatch. With an aim stat of 85 they are moderately accurate, however they also don't get any aim bonuses, so we shouldn't expect them to do miracles. What they do have, however, is squad sight, and that times 4 is theoretically very useful. Unfortunately though, we also have some high ground right in front of the Avenger here, and that obviously limits their line of sight significantly.
I know where you are.
A cloaked Dragonova then detects our first targets, yes, 4 codexes. Moving up just a bit further gives us a slightly better view at them, as well as at 2 of the 4 turrets, but like I said, those not a priority here at the beginning.
There is nowhere to hide.
Moving up with our 2nd Reaper Celica, we then detect more enemies, an Andromedon, and we can't quite see what else, but 24 hit points, that seems to be an Archon. And because all of those enemies may or may not move closer towards us, let's get everyone into positions. 8 soldiers plus 4 turrets on Overwatch should hopefully be enough.
On Overwatch!
I'm on it!
Got it covered!
Bestätigt! Überwachung läuft!
Consider yourselves lucky.
Alright, and after running into her last episode, she's back again, the assassin is here, although this time we are very much planning on taking her out.
At the very least, you will die with honor.
The Chosen assassin is moving near your position. Stay on guard, people.
The group of codexes then also moves in and activates, although slightly more over to our right side, so we will most likely not get off 12 reaction shots. Still, we should be able to deal some good damage here.
Kein Treffer!
That didn't do much!
Okay, so unfortunately it looks like that's already the extent of it. Not a single kill and 4 codexes now turn into 5. Not really the best start.
You cannot run. I have sight beyond vision. With each breath, I draw closer.
And because that is very much true, I am happy that the Andromedon, who is in fact accompanied by 2 Archons here, does not draw any closer. It's definitely not unlikely that we'll see the assassin appear at some point during the next 2 or 3 turns, So let's use this one to clear out those 5 codexes. First, we'll get Sapphire West into position, and then we'll kill the first of 5 with Templar Logan's Rend attack.
Enemies neutralized. As one dies, another is already born to take his place.
Right, curiously enough, this attack did actually kill 2 codexes. Not quite sure why, to be honest. The arc wave definitely went in a different direction, but we'll take it and move on, repositioning a few of our soldiers, including Van Dyke, who now has a flanking opportunity, and with blue screen rounds and the disruptor rifle, that's a guaranteed kill.
You've collected a trophy from one of my fallen brethren. Wield it well.
Up next then, we hope that Sapphire West can do enough damage to get the kill with this pistol shot. Unfortunately though, the Shadowkeeper leaves her hanging, and that means we now have 1 more codex to worry about. Not a problem though, Typhoon after all is equipped to deal guaranteed hits from pretty much anywhere. And Sapphire West also still has a second shot left, and with this one she will be able to redeem herself, taking out the codex all the way in the back over here.
Hostile terminated.
And even better than the kill, the hair trigger kicking in, and that means we can now finally get rid of the last of the codexes.
Target down.
So, 4 enemies down, 27 more to go, including these 3. Let's keep scouting and see if we find anything else.
My life is in your hands. I have sight beyond vision. I've spotted an alien patrol.
Alright, 2 more enemy groups spotted, although the second one here hardly surprising. On Avenger Defense missions, there will always be enemies guarding the turrets, and in addition to that, we now also have a Purifier, Lancer and Mech further in the back. It should also not take too long until we have line of sight to the power generator, at which point we can then hopefully utilize our sharpshooters to take it out quickly. For now, let's keep pushing forward. After all, there are plenty more enemies left to eliminate.
Scanning.
Covering now.
You can never escape my sight.
So the mech pod moves up, but only enters Dragonova's line of sight. At this move right here, meanwhile, much more problematic.
We are known to them.
So, Reaper Sleeper unfortunately getting herself spotted. I honestly had not expected that in her current position. Let's see how this situation develops.
They're moving to flank. I need a more subtle position. I nicked them.
I must improve. The hunt is on.
Alright, so it seems like we did get lucky after all here. The Andromedon had a free flanking shot and somehow missed it. Still, Celica is in a bit of a pickle at the moment. Let's try to get her out. Yes indeed, QT has a superior repeater equipped, which now instantly eliminates the first of the 2 Archons. The other one then a good target for Tsunami, first with a lightning hand shot and then with a regular pistol shot to follow up. Ranger Starfall, meanwhile, can move in to slash the Andromedon, which obviously requires a bit more work to eliminate on this turn, so this is only the beginning. Afterwards, we can then give him teamwork thanks to Dragonova, but before we use it, let's have our Reaper eliminate the Archon. With 8 hit points remaining, the kill here is guaranteed. Back to Starfall then, who can now use rapid fire just to make sure we get the kill.
You cannot run.
It's dead. There is no shame in their defeat. They know nothing of their actions.
And we do get the kill, and Starfall is now also untouchable. and in perfect position to trigger a Bladestorm on the next turn. Reaper Celica meanwhile can move behind cover and reconceal herself.
It's time to focus.
And afterwards move up just a little bit further. In the meantime, Praetor Mox can already begin targeting one of the smaller turrets. Again, we are not in a hurry to take them out, but we might as well get to it. And after moving up with Van Dyke, that now brings us to our Templar Logan, who can in fact sprint halfway across the map to deliver a rend attack against the Andromedon, and who afterwards will then also find himself in Bladestorm range. And that brings us to the end of the turn. For our sharpshooters here, we want to make sure that we only put them on pistol overwatch, just so we don't accidentally trigger another group of enemies with squad side overwatches.
The Advent power cells are at maximum charge, Commander. Their cannon is primed and ready to fire.
And well, despite all of our precautions, another group of enemies is triggered, although with 31 of them on the map to begin with, that is hardly surprising. Van Dyke then making the most of his Guardian ability with 3 reaction shots in a row. Unfortunately though, none of them kills the Lancer here, and that means we reveal yet another Reaper.
Get it together! I'm on my way out!
Their wounds will quicken the march to death.
And this time it looks like we do not get an unfortunate miss, so Dragonova takes a big hit.
That is not good.
The Andromedon meanwhile goes down as planned, only to be replaced by the Assassin.
Savor what time you have left. The destruction of your ship will be the defining moment in my ascendancy. Prepare for your return to the Elders, Commander.
We've got the Chosen in our sights. It's time to take them out. We've got a soldier down. Get to him before the Chosen do.
Okay, so looks like we have entered that stage of the mission. An unfortunate chain of events has activated 6 enemies simultaneously. Reaper Dragonova has lost about half of her hit points, and the Assassin has dazed Logan and has snuck behind our lines, a place where we definitely do not want to keep her. So let's focus on her first, and a grenade by QT seems reasonable.
Bums away!
Let's teach the Assassin that hiding behind a car is never a good idea.
A cowardly strike.
But one that removes all armor and 7 hit points, hopefully enough to get the kill with Celica here, who after dashing into position receives teamwork from Typhoon.
The enemy should fear us.
And that gives her another action to unleash Banish, 7 shots, each one with a 20% chance to insta-kill, but if they all hit, then we don't even need that.
You are banished!
Proving your worth to your new master. You will find no refuge in the shadows, Reaper. You will face me, Reaper. I will not allow you to hide. You are weak, and you will fail.
And it looks like all the trash talking in the world does not save the Assassin, who now goes down just the way I had hoped.
At one time, it would have been unthinkable that I might ever fall in battle. Now, it appears you have bested me once again.
I'd say we owe our people a break after taking down that Chosen, Commander. I doubt it'll be long before we see that thing again, though.
And I doubt that we will be able to get much of a break with 6 active enemies still remaining. At the very least, Logan is back up on his feet now, but we actually begin with Typhoon's second action, hopefully doing some good damage against the Archon. Well, not quite sure if that's what I would call good damage, But thanks to Celica's heroics, we have plenty of actions left, so let's use Alyssa here to focus on the trooper. Who knows, maybe she can hit the pistol shot against full cover. And she can, and with a critical hit at that. Time to go for round number 2, and hopefully for the kill.
X-ray neutralized.
Lovely, and that still leaves her with a shot from the Darklands, which we will now use to remove the pesky Mech's Overwatch. This in turn now allows us to safely move with Van Dyke, who will now also take aim at the Archon. And that now brings us to QT, who after launching her grenade still has an action left, an action that we will now use on the immense range of the Shredstorm cannon.
Time to shred!
One turret down, but we still need to deal with the rest. Watch your flanks out there.
So that's 2 enemies and a turret taken out, the first of 4 on this mission. 4 is also the number of enemies still remaining, although chances are Starfall will shortly bring that down to 3. Logan meanwhile can do the same, taking out the Lancer that revealed Dragonova, who can then afterwards reconceal herself.
I was born in the shadows. The time for hiding is over.
And properly hidden, she now detects 4 more enemies, a Gatekeeper and 3 more Archons. But very importantly, she also moves closer to the generator, even though we will most likely not be able to prevent the cannon from firing on the next turn.
I will reposition.
An untouchable Starfall then moves in to flank the Purifier, while Logan moves into Bladestorm range against the Lancer.
Come get some.
Attacking on sight.
We've got system failures across the board, Commander. We can't take hits like that.
Enemy is still up.
Their casualties grow.
So the Lancer goes down and we recover some loot, including a superior focus PCS that might come in handy.
Target asset located.
The Purifier meanwhile blasts Starfall, who again is untouchable. Unfortunately though, the same cannot be said for our Templar Logan, who did get himself caught with the flamethrower, and who has now suffered 8 points of damage as a result. So, certainly not the smoothest operation we have going on here, but at least now the battlefield should be a lot more manageable.
I'm on the move. No place for you to go now.
Dragonova at least finally establishes line of sight with the generator and its 48 hit points. Before we start shooting at it, however, let's first take out the Purifier. A rend attack from Logan deals some good damage. Our Templar can then move out of the blast radius, while Starfall moves into a flanking position that is also just far enough away to not get caught in any potential explosion.
I definitely got that one.
And there we go. For the first time in quite a while, we now have no active enemies on the map. So let us go to work on the generator now. After all, that is one of the reasons why we brought 2 sharpshooters. Both of them have squad sight and can therefore now target the generator from halfway across the map. With Tsunami then, I made a bit of a mistake here giving her teamwork. Seems like I've gotten so used to our sharpshooters wielding the Darklands that I simply forgot that firing a regular sniper rifle consumes 2 action points, and sadly teamwork only gives you back 1. Still, let's make the most of it and use that 1 action point to fire at the mobile turret here. Sooner or later we want to take that out too. Sapphire West meanwhile is wielding the Darklands and therefore also has the ability to do a bit more damage. The rest of our squad meanwhile can safely move up. At this point we definitely have the upper hand, and especially once that big cannon is disabled we can let the enemies come to us.
Waffe verschlingt meine Munition!
And that's another lucky hat trigger here, so let's take out turret number 2.
Keine Feuerkraft mehr. I will not waver.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Speaking of turrets, by the way, the fact that we have some of our own was actually the main reason why I wanted to show you the Avenger Defense mission again. Ironically though, it looks like, except for that first Overwatch turn, we will not really get to use them much. That is always the chance if you get unlucky with map selection, but I don't want you to be able to say that we built the defense matrix for nothing.
There's an alien patrol nearby.
Fire spread!
So then, we have detected another group of enemies, this one including another gatekeeper. However, they are also very close to the power generator, and chances are that if they remain there, then we might not even need to engage them in the first place. At least one of the troopers goes down already. I forgot to record it, but Dragonova did place a claymore beforehand, so her remote start easily able to remove 20 of the generator's hit points. And that means, with a Deadeye shot, Tsunami here might just have a chance to blow it up for good.
I got nothing.
Unfortunately though, the shot misses. I'm not quite sure what happened there, I wasn't aware that could happen. Let's see if Sapphire West is a bit more true with her aim. Alright, so that hits, but unfortunately does not destroy the generator, so looks like it will take us one more turn to take it out.
Reapers are always
Scanning
hard.
Gebiet. Scanning.
Scanning.
Overwatch.
No real threatening action then on the enemy turn, the two pods here definitely aware of our existence, but for now only Dragonova can see them.
There is nowhere to hide.
And so let's bring it back to Sapphire West, who for some reason will do 32 points of damage here. However, only 2 will already be enough.
Good work out there. The generator is down and the cannon is disabled. Now we just need to mop up the remaining enemy forces.
Now, the generator's explosion, meanwhile, that deals a whole lot of damage, enough to take out a gatekeeper instantly. And it also means that for the rest of the mission we are pretty much in the clear.
Moving as ordered. You cannot run. Their patrol is coming.
This patrol over by the turrets here then the last group of enemies, the remaining sector pod group meanwhile the other one, so that's 8 enemies and 2 turrets still left to go. And unfortunately, we also make contact with this last enemy group a bit earlier than I had wanted. Just some unfortunate positioning here by Van Dyke, but considering that most of our soldiers have not yet acted, we should be fine. So let's see how this goes, as Mox uses his free whiplash action against the mech. Now that misses, but thankfully we have several grappling hooks on our squad, so we can rapidly move in some reinforcements, including our gunslinging sharpshooter Tsunami, who can first target the mech with a lightning hands shot and then follow things up with face-off.
Did you see that one?
Right, so unfortunately you can't target turrets with face-off, but still she did some great damage here. And we do have another soldier in our ranks who is quite good at that, Ranger Starfall, who can now activate Reaper. Now the priest here, the last remaining enemy of this group, activating Sustain, but being on fire and in Bladestorm range, that most likely won't do them any good.
I see everything.
On Overwatch! It is under my
I
watch.
see everything.
Come get
Moving
some.
to Overwatch. Bitte Feuerschutz. That's it!
So it's neither fire nor bladestorm taking out the priest, but Typhoon. Either way, that leaves us with only these 4 enemies remaining, and of course the 2 turrets over here. Those aforementioned enemies, by the way, are very close to a car, so if they were to move just a tiny bit further over to the left, then we might have another remote start opportunity, which is why we are already moving Dragonova into position here, before Tsunami then gets started on the 2 remaining turrets. Shot number 2 then comes at the hands of our veteran Ranger Starfall. Specialist Van Dyke can also take aim with the Disruptor Rifle. And even though the head trigger once again activates, he unfortunately does not have line of sight to the second turret. So that one will have to go down at the hands of somebody else, and after moving up bondmates Celica and Typhoon, that certain someone is Praetor Mox.
We've destroyed all of the enemy siege emplacements. Excellent work, Commander.
And there we go, that's the second mission objective completed. That now leaves us only with these 4 enemies, who again we are just waiting for to move in the right spot.
My turn on watch.
Overwatch.
At least for the time being, though, they move further over to the right side, so further away from the car. But with all turrets and the big bad cannon defeated, we are in no rush, so let's just wait for them to move again.
I'll keep an eye on it.
I'm on it! No,
No one will cross.
Got it covered.
And there we are, back to the left they go, although still not quite where we want them to be. Let's give it one more turn.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Watching.
Come get someone in the bay.
I'll watch closely.
Got it covered.
Got it covered.
On Overwatch.
And there we go, that looks more like it. The gatekeeper unfortunately furthest away from the car, but we can do a little bit of extra damage by placing a claymore first, before we then activate remote start to kick off this last fight of the mission.
This will get their attention.
So, all 3 Archons almost dead, the gatekeeper meanwhile barely scratched. Still, I foresee no trouble taking these 4 enemies out.
We are compromised.
So let's get to it then. We begin with an Ionic Storm from Templar Logan. As a psionic enemy, the gatekeeper is especially vulnerable to that, not to mention that it will also easily take out the 2 Archons.
Multiple enemies neutralized.
So that's 21 points of damage against the gatekeeper, bypassing all armor. And speaking of armor, Typhoon can now hopefully shred some of that. With an 82%er here, he's got a decent hit chance. And with a 93%er, Sharpshooter Tsunami can then perhaps grab herself the second to last kill of the mission.
Impressed yet?
And there we are. That now once again leaves us with Ranger Starfall. One final slash attack against the last Archon here, and this last Avenger Defense mission is finally behind us.
It's dead. It has to be dead.
So, there we go. There were certainly times during this mission where this wasn't the smoothest operation. Nonetheless, considering that we went up against 30 enemies and the assassin, coming away with only 2 injured soldiers is indeed an excellent mission outcome. And so let's close the books on what was the third and definitely the last Avenger Defense mission of this series. I wanted to show it to you because of the turrets, because of the terrain. Those ultimately ended up contributing barely anything, but, well, I tried.
We managed to keep the Chosen off the Avenger for now, Commander, but I'm sure they'll be back. We need to keep working with the factions to track their position. The sooner we take them out, the better.
And indeed, I think that is what we will be doing very soon, perhaps even next. At this point, there really is no reason to leave the assassin alive for any longer, and considering that most of our elite forces made it out of this mission unscathed, we will definitely use the opportunity to get revenge very, very soon. For today though, I think we have reached a good point to make the cut. Once again, my apologies that the promised involvement of the turrets in this mission was less than expected. Of course, we could have waited around for a while and let a few more enemies come to us and into our overwatches, but I feel like that may have dragged the mission out even longer than it already was. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, then I would of course be happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.